Our world is soaring toward 2012. Time is speeding up. Chaos is shifting into a new level, and we feel the pull to unlock the mysteries of the universe. Timeless spiritual wisdom offers the point of stability to navigate these times and to open our greatest potential. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the fun and knowledge of visionary best-selling authors Shri and Kira as they explore these mysteries and invite your higher love to come forward. And now, here are Shri and Kira.
Namaste. I am wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka.
And I am Kira Ra, and welcome, beloved one, to Higher Love. You know, Shri, this is a powerful moment in history, and the reason it's such a powerful moment in history is we are back exploring Mars. You know, we're beyond exploring Mars. We're fascinated with Mars. We're preoccupied with Mars. We're talking about Mars. We're in a Mars race. And why is that? It is because humanity is searching for answers. Something's going on, and we are diving into those in this show. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo!
You know, Mars has been a topic of interest for Kira and I for several years, and I want to just...
I was thinking several lifetimes.
Well, several long periods of years.
Exactly.
And one of the things that's interesting is we've sent multiple rovers to Mars. Now, I'm talking about the USA right now, because other countries are going to be joining in soon enough.
Well, they already are, oh my gosh.
And these rovers that have visited Mars have revealed some interesting things, such as possible structures on the surface of the planet, and they have found ice and the signs of life that once lived there.
And of course, this is only what they're sharing with us. You know, Shri, I have to jump right in because you and I have been blessed. We have been blessed to be really more intimately involved with some of the early Mars rovers going back about 8-10 years ago, when we were actually privy to some photos from a dear friend of ours who was actually part of the project. These were photos that had never been revealed. These are photos that, let's just say, would be extremely controversial if they were let out into the public domain. But the bottom line is that we can all agree that there is a reason that there has been an amplification in exploration. Let's put it that way. There's a reason that all of a sudden what happened, that we've gone from closing NASA to not funding space exploration to this massive, fast leap to, I got to get to Mars first.
There's something there.
There is something there. And it's more than just, you know, I think about the green men or the green cheese or whatever people used to say. The reality is that when we look at Mars, when we pay attention to Mars, there has always been this affinity. There's always been this pull within humanity. And now it's been revealed that the Russian space program is committed to actually having a manned mission land first on Mars. So I feel like we're back in the 60s. You know, there's these overlays, there's these recognitions. So yeah. And why are we in this race? Well, if we take a minute and we just kind of come back, what's really going on the planet right now? We're scared. We're looking for answers. We're overwhelmed, and we are overrun with extraordinary insights that we don't know what to do with. So it's causing a lot of different people to kind of find their way through this. You know, I'm seeing the rise in fundamentalism, the rise in polarization, this newfound fascination with Mars. It feels like we're getting ready to repeat a cycle.
Well, it does. And the fascination with Mars has been going on for quite some time. However, there is an investment in the active pursuit of what's there. You know, I remember years ago, and I don't remember which year it was for sure, I think it was in the late 80s, remember the face on Mars?
Yes.
And there was a stamp from Sierra Leone, I think, the African country that did the face on Mars on a postage stamp, which I invested in, and I subsequently misplaced. I don't know where they are.
Oh well.
However, it was this first ignition of the imagination of mankind, that there would be a huge carved mountaintop like our Mount Rushmore, only on Mars. And that inspired a lot of activity, and certainly the early rovers were out looking for signs that there may have been an ancient civilization.
You know, Shri, I love this. I mean, as I'm listening to you, I just love this because we as humans have had a tendency to be so arrogant. We tend to believe that we are the center of the universe, that we are the only intelligent life out there. And I know this is a heavily debated issue.
I haven't vacated that throne yet.
And yet the reality is, in the infinitum of the universe, in the massive amounts of stars, it is actually an arrogant position to believe we would be the only experience of this form of life. And perhaps there is an awakening. Perhaps there is a deeper spiritual overlay, and we're going to really dive into that in the second half of the show, that is birthing whether we know it or not. What if every being on the planet right now, confronted with what looks like to be World War III coagulating around us, what looks like people that are losing their mind with these massive ways that we're destroying each other, what if there is a dormancy, a recognition that is awakening, that is so profound, so paradigm shifting, so huge, that we really don't know what to do with it, yet subconsciously we're aware that we have ties beyond this planet, so we've started exploring for our answers. We've started looking for our answers.
So often there are forces at work that are bubbling just beneath the awareness level, beneath the waterline of consciousness, that seem to be lifting us or directing us in a certain way. And that energy of pushing us in a certain way is often misinterpreted. People try to launch something based on that energy. Humanity is being called to awaken to its source, to awaken to its true home, yet that urge of awakening can be manipulated.
Oh, well, I think
that
it is
energy
being
can be
manipulated.
directed in very weird ways.
Yes.
One of those ways is actually fundamentalism. So the desire to create union is misinterpreted by the ego as a sense of, I have to go back to where I was 20 years ago. I have to protect myself.
A sense of things were better then, so we want to go back.
As opposed to using the urge to expand oneself, to take the boundaries out and be more inclusive and discover the safety in the dissolving into the one.
Well, and you know, Shri, this is that repetition of a cycle. You know, there's always that old adage, right? History repeats itself. And certainly we're all at a point where we would pray on this planet history is not going to repeat itself. Yet we're really close to that, aren't we? We are really close to history repeating itself. And I think about just the similarity between the Mars race and the Moon race.
Yes,
you know, the 1960s. Look what happened in the 1960s. You know, I was chatting about this the other day with some dear friends of mine. In the 1960s, we broke the bonds, the barriers of all these horrific segregation issues and women's issues and human rights issues. And here we are, post-millennia, losing those issues, going the wrong direction. And so is that part of that mentality that's saying, I need to go back because I feel so unsafe in the now? And when we start seeing all of these overlays happening, what does that really mean for us? And how do we navigate our way out of it? You know, my heart is so big around young women today, for example. You know, and I'm talking young women who have no idea what women of my generation went through to get the opportunities that they have now. And how far we've come in living in a beautiful world of recognizing and honoring all people. Where are we really heading, and why are we allowing this to happen? Does this have something to do with Mars exploration, Shri?
You know, if a little Martian shows up...
I want a big Martian to show up.
Or brings his big brother with him. But consider for a moment, the moment we have undeniable proof of other life forms, what does that do to humanity?
And here's the deal. I want to suggest we already have undeniable proof. What we have is an extraordinary campaign of misinformation that's designed to keep you believing we don't have the undeniable proof.
It's along the line of cigarettes are good for you.
Yes, they are.
Back in the 50s, the television commercials, even up into 1960, would have a physician, a doctor smoking the cigarette, saying, you know, more doctors prefer Lucky Strikes than any other brand.
I used to remember sitting in my doctor's office, nearly heaving as my doctor was blowing smoke in my face, telling me what was up.
Okay, so it took a long time for the spin to shift more so that it matched the truth.
And how many deaths?
And a lot of deaths.
See, that's the key.
And so
how many deaths?
It truly, that analogy kind of applies to the whole UFO cover-up is this show isn't dedicated to UFOs right now. However, consciousness seems to cover up that which it does not know how to include.
Woo! Now take that in. Consciousness will cover up that which it does not understand how to include. You know, I was watching a fascinating documentary the other day talking about how when many of the ancient texts have been discovered, especially texts that are very, very ancient that talk a lot about the origins of the universe, Sumerian texts and things of that nature, and that because these texts so clearly describe the exact positions of the planets, things that we've only discovered like in the past 50 years, that because they have such rich information, the scientists simply go with, they made these stories up.
Right,
Because
right.
they
An
can't
accurate
include
star
it.
chart showing the position
Right.
of Earth, Mars, and other planets from 5 and 8,000 BC. They made that up.
They made it up. They said, well, they didn't
It
know,
was
so they
such a
just
lucky
made it
guess.
up. Wow. And so talk about consciousness not being able to wrap around what it
Right,
can
right.
include, because it would blast the paradigm. This is why the Mars exploration is so powerful. We must pay attention to the recent attention, money, resources that are being directed toward this. There is a bigger reason, beloved ones, a much bigger reason.
And for the amount of money being spent and the number of explorers already sent and lost,
Exactly.
they tell us they were lost. One can only suppose that something has been discovered that is deemed profitable.
And again, you know, Shri and I really can say that with a lot of certainty, because it was about 8 years ago, we were shown some photos that were pretty dramatic and very, very, very revealing. And this was 8 years ago. So a lot's happening.
A lot is happening. And as we get ready to go into our commercial break, we want to invite you to consider how much is truly happening beneath the waterline of humanity and your personal waterline. We can extend our consciousness to be more inclusive if we simply take a breath and choose to do so.
Indeed. You know, we're going to explore in the second half of the show, what are the spiritual ramifications and what can you do about this, and is there more that's waking up around us? And if you have not yet read our book, 2012 Atlantean Revelations, there was a reason we put Mars on the cover. It's a good time to visit that book. Stay with us, beloved ones. We're going to be right back, and we have a whole lot of show to go. Namaste, beloved one. This is Kira Ra, and I am inviting you to take a journey of the soul in the land of the heart. Imagine your life free from chaos and filled with creative clarity. Imagine waking up each day in your private lakefront casita, greeted by brilliant sun, flowers, and birds. It is here that you will effortlessly resurrect your divine blueprint in pristine energy. Yes, I am inviting you to join us for a personal resurrection vacation retreat at beautiful Lake Atatlan, Guatemala. Here, you can rejuvenate your life as you indulge in Tosa Spa cuisine, private healing sessions, yoga, tai chi, meditation, and loving support. Imagine enjoying pure air, zero noise pollution, and endless stars in this ascended nirvana. The time is now to claim your true joy. Learn more by visiting shriandkira.com and just click on the Resurrection Vacation Treat page. Tosa La Laguna, healing lives, healing hearts. We welcome you home.
Welcome back. We're glad you're with us.
We sure are. And today we are exploring, why are we going to Mars? What's really happening? And what's waking up inside of humanity? Because are we repeating a cycle? And if so, what does that really mean?
And to repeat a cycle is really a deep and thought-provoking topic, because all of our lives are cyclical. Mm-hmm. We have little, we can call them mini cycles in our own evolutionary process, whereas we grow as people, we tend to cycle around similar events, but our perspective shifts. We get signs of our maturity and our evolution as we have repetitive cycles, or we get signs that there's something that needs healing and we best bring some attention to it. Well, humanity as a whole has had amazing cycles too.
Yeah.
If we look back to the early part of the 20th century, around 1920 and to 1940 range, there was a whole lot going on that actually is very similar to what has been happening in recent years.
Yeah, no, Sri, that's a really valid point. And I think that's a really important point because one of the things that happened was there was a big rise in ancient mysticism during that time. There was a huge exploration of deep spirituality, of greater answers. There was actually a upswell of openness to do that. This is during the time when Paramahansa Yogananda first came to the United States, when they were having congresses on world religions, when metaphysics was becoming an accepted science. A lot of exploration.
Yeah, and all of the developed world were sending and funding explorers to go to Egypt to try to discover the ancient religions and other parts of the world. And this, it wasn't until I think early 40s, late 30s, when the
Great Distraction
the Dead Sea Scrolls
were
also discovered.
Yes.
And also during that time, you had air flight come in and move very rapidly. We had technology, submarines. Can you consider that? We went from just discovering an airplane right around the turn of the century to being able to motor our way across the Atlantic Ocean and send torpedoes.
Well, and I want to pick up on that because here's the deal. It was the same consciousness, right? The same consciousness that was looking at the ancient mysteries, the same consciousness that was unveiling all of these magnificent mysteries of the universe that then was figuring out how to kill each other.
Right.
And that's
technology was growing very rapidly.
Right, and that's what I was talking about by the Great Distraction.
Yes.
Because we had this flowering, we had this blossoming. People were excited, they were illuminated, people were getting together, spiritual societies were being formed, and there was so much going on. But then the energy of destruction became more powerful, and it basically took humanity sideways.
Well, there was this need to dominate and control.
Exactly.
So here you have this rising energy, which some people find invigorating, say, oh, the world's opening up.
Right.
And other people find scary, oh, we best cloister ourselves back to our fundamental roots.
Right.
And you get these leaders, back in that time you had the Stalin, the Hitler, the Mussolini.
Right.
So you had these people trying to control masses. And I suspect something ignited that need inside of them.
Well, there was
that same energy.
Right, but here it is, Shri. You had the Dust Bowl, right? We had massive crop failures. We had the Dust Bowl going on.
Economic collapse.
We had economic collapse. Is this starting to sound familiar? People were afraid. Things were happening that had never happened before. People were asking questions that couldn't be answered. Okay, scroll forward to right now. What's happening right now? We have the return of the Dust Bowl. It's already here. We're having and seeing rising food costs, soaring food costs, failing crops. People are scared. We see a rapid polarization in countries and beliefs. People are asking questions that they can't get answers to that feel comfortable. And because they're staying outside and searching for those answers outside, it's another great distraction. We were just at that flowering, right? We were just flowering again. We were just starting to explore and open up again when another great distraction came forward.
Which one?
All of them, Sri. Shri's like, I am your great distraction.
No, I'm so interested in what you have to say. I thought she was going to bring out another one.
Well, I was ready to until you stared at me like that. And so here it is. I'm happy to. The great distraction is called fear of the future.
Oh.
People are so afraid of their future. Will I have a future? How many children right now do you know? And I'm talking, let's talk about maybe late teens. How many people do you know in their late teens right now that really are not sure if they will have a future? Are really are not sure if the planet will be here for them? So how many people are living saying, I don't know, I don't care, I'm going to grab what I can today? How many people don't know if they'll be able to retire? How many people have seen their life savings eaten up on something ridiculous? How many people are out there saying, my religion is better than your religion? It is fear of the future that has produced where we are right now, and the ultimate fear of the future that is saying, let's go find another planet because ours might not exist anymore.
Well, that's well said. That truly we have in so many ways devoured the earth and destroyed the earth.
Like locusts.
And one of the things that the earth is modeling for us, as does our human body, is how resilient it can be.
Oh my gosh.
That we can pour toxins and poisons and pollute the earth, and yet there is a resilience. Life tries to come back. Life always seeks expression.
Exactly.
Notice that word, EX, to express is to live life. And so artistry, exploration, belief in vitality and movement as part of the nature of being alive. To pull back, to polarize, to objectify other beings is a way of saying, I really don't want to live. I want to feel safe in a paradigm, in a box.
It's make me feel safe, tell me everything's going to be okay. Now, in the first part of the show, we talked a little bit about how this is actually more of a spiritual journey than most people may be aware of.
Yep.
And the reason being is, we are at a point where we have ignited within, whether you know it or not, you have ignited within you an ancient DNA, an ancient memory, an ancient code, you know, and it's proven scientifically that you carry the memories, the genetic memories of all the generations before you. And this is not a metaphysical woo-woo thing. I'm talking just from a scientific aspect. We carry a genetic memory.
And yet when you consider how far back it goes, it gets pretty woo-woo.
It does. That's another show. And so if we can collectively agree that we are carrying this collective genetic memory, then part of us has a right to be concerned, because we know we've destroyed ourselves before. We know this is not the first time we've brought ourselves to the brink. My goodness, there's plenty of things just in current history or in all of the history books that would show you, okay, we've done this before, we've done this before. Do we really want to do this again? Can we finally, as a species, get to the we've had enough of this moment?
You know, we look at the history of the earth, and I am certainly not a historian yet. I've read a couple of things, and we notice what happened to the Egyptians, what happened to the Sumerians.
You know, I gotta say one thing. If you're on this planet, you're a historian.
Well,
Because we genetically are carrying, exactly, we are all living history.
The desert, there's evidence that the desert was once water. And yet the Sahara Desert is covered with sand, and we wonder what has wiped out civilization after civilization, cycle after cycle.
That leads archaeologists to say...
Yeah, with a planet that's billions of years old, we only go back a few thousand, and then we are in the archaeological record, which we really don't understand. We're looking at layers of sediment. Those layers of sediment do not tell us about the civilization.
So why are we going to Mars?
Why are we going to Mars?
I know why. Or at least I can conjecture. We're going to Mars because we understand that a piece of our collective history is there. And in searching for this other connection, in sending out and trying to reconnect, why did we go to the moon? You know, why are we exploring space at all? Because no matter what the brain may say to you right now, deep within your genetic memory, you absolutely know you are more than this planet. You absolutely know we are not the only life out there. And you absolutely know that somehow you are connected to it. And I do want to encourage you again, because it's a whole other show, read our book, 2012 Atlantean Revelations. There has never been a more powerful moment in history to read that book than right now. And it has an enormous amount of information about Mars, a lot of information about today. And the subtitle of the book is Living in a 9-to-5 World, because the reality is right now, how are you living in this 9-to-5 world? You're either living in fear, or you're living in denial, or there is a third option. You can break free of both and live your truth. Because nothing of this planet is going to help you navigate this moment right now. You will not find the answers outside of yourself. You are only able to be finding the gift within, the wisdom within, to kind of unprogram the fear, that genetic fear.
And for those of you that have brains that love to research and love to look into things...
And I suspect if you're listening to us, you probably do.
You know, it's important to just consider for a moment, if you, meaning the sacred DNA that you're carrying, if you have connections or origins outside of this planet, possibly to Mars, then why would you only look at Earth as part of your family?
Exactly.
Would you not consider the cosmos as part of your family? And if you have cosmic origins, what does that do to your sense of meaning and understanding for the role you're playing here on Earth? Because this isn't the whole story.
No.
and yet it's very important that we live out our capacity to love, to include, to nourish, and to be in a harmonious interaction with the earth, or how can we reunite with the cosmos?
Whew! Now, that sounds very Carl Sagan, and so I'm enjoying that. And I just want to invite all of you right now, allow yourself this moment to simply gift yourself with relaxing into the possibility that there is an infinite expression of you, of our planet, of all that you have ever been, that is seeking for you to remember that. Maybe, collectively, we've had to bring ourselves to the brink again so that we have, again, the opportunity to walk through this. We have choice. Humanity has choice. You have choice.
Yes.
It is time to recognize that there is a lot more going on behind the scenes, and rather than sit around and wonder about who's manipulating who, let go of that consciousness, grab the heart within, ignite the universal wisdom within, and realize that you are more powerful, more creative, more amazing than you have probably given yourself credit for. The solutions you seek are right with you right now. They're right inside of you. And all of the things, all of the events that are happening around us are happening as a divine wake-up call for you. Imagine that. You have the opportunity right now to go, I get it. And the minute you get it, you are free from the drama of living it.
So this amazing game board, this wonderful Earth School that is all around us, is here to help you remember the truth of who you are, so that you might lift into what you might call your higher self.
Yes.
So you might lift into an ascended state of consciousness that allows you to have the Mona Lisa smile on your face, the attitude of a Buddha, and the delight of being awake.
Indeed. And so let us find our own nirvana right here on this extraordinary planet, recognizing that the past is just that, the past. Let us together have an extraordinary present and gift our children with a bountiful future. Namaste, beloved ones, and until we have the gift of being with you again, may you know that all is truly well.
Thank you for joining us today for 2012 Higher Love. Remember that you can find out more about Sri and Kira by going to SriandKira.com. That's SriandKira.com.